How Lakhotiyapi. Washichia Alex Lakhotiyapi na lako michajeki matronaji amachiapalo. Hello, my relatives. My English name is Alex, and my Lakota name is Standing Bear. And that name, Standing Bear, may be familiar to a lot of you out there. Chief Standing Bear and Luther Standing Bear were admired and iconic names in Native communities. Luther was an amazing author and at the forefront of the progressive movement. And his name, Matronaji, was passed down to every first son of every generation of my family. But that was my great-great-grandfather. And after the Indian boarding schools, forced assimilation, and countless massacres of Native American people, that connection my family had to the Lakota language was long lost before me or my dad or even my grandfather. The thing is, it's not just me. That's the story of thousands of Lakotas and other Native Americans. And that's where it ends for so many people. The language is lost as well as the culture and tradition. Why is that? I mean, obviously the aforementioned genocide, forced assimilation, kill the Indians, save the man boarding schools is to blame. But it's still alive and we can still take it back. With all that being said, some people may just wonder why. I mean, we all speak English, so what's the point of learning a dying language? To answer that question, firstly, though not exclusive to Lakota, being bilingual is actually super beneficial for your brain. There's a significant decrease in your chance of getting Alzheimer's or dementia as a bilingual person. And even if you were to get old and get diagnosed with dementia one day, it'll take much longer before something like that happens, as a bilingual brain slows the process down. And your brain's executive function will be greatly improved as well. So I mean, that's something to consider if you're considering learning a new language. But let's talk about Lakota specifically. Lakota people hold our language as sacred. When our ancestors were praying to the Creator, they were speaking the Lakota language that we speak today. And such, being a good relative or feeling closer to Tungashala is intertwined with speaking the language. Prayer songs or personal prayers done in Lakota show commitment, vulnerability, and it's a devotion of yourself to your spirituality, bringing us closer to our ancestors and the Creator. And even if you're not spiritual or religious, as I said before, this language was taken from us. So many of our relatives were beaten or killed for speaking their native language. And those people may not have been able to pass Lakhotiyapi down to their children or grandchildren. And so many of those relatives that weren't killed at least lost their language, even though they're still alive today. So as a relative, I would say it's our duty to do what they weren't given the opportunity to do. We have the power to. So how do we do it? Today, when a Hispanic child, for instance, speaks Spanish or wants to learn it or just retain it, they have an abundance of content and their target language to choose from. They can watch all their favorite movies, TV shows, even anime in that language. If they want to read books or watch YouTube videos like gaming let's plays, vlogs, skits, and anything else they can find, it will be in their target language. That's so important because foreign language specialists will tell you that the best way for anyone to learn, and especially children, but for anyone to learn, is to be completely immersed in target language content that you're actually interested in consuming. You can't sit a 5-year-old down in a classroom and read them vocab out of a textbook and make them into a fluent speaker. You couldn't even do that with someone that's 18 or 45, but a lot of the time, that's what we try to do. Now, it should go without saying that there's terrific Lakota educators that are out there. We even have groups of people making Lakota games and Lakota children books, and even teaching Lakota through YouTube and online. But if you don't live in the Pine Ridge or Thunder Valley area, you probably don't have a single clue about 99% of that content, or even that it exists. There's even Lakota immersion daycares and elementary schools, which is such an amazing initiative by those people. But what happens when you graduate and go on to middle school or high school or move away from the reservation? How do they go from that intermediate conversational level that they've achieved through these immersion schools or Lakota language classes to fluent, or even retain the progress that they've already made? What about the thousands of urban Indians who never had a chance to be in that atmosphere or learn anything in Lakota? Should they be dismissed and never get the opportunity to learn because our oppressors took their land and connection to it away? That's exactly what the Gen 7 project is here for. My dream is a world where everyone on the Lakota reservations across North and South Dakota are speaking Lakota, and all of the Lakotas in the big cities can speak with their friends or family in Lakota, or even just Wachekye and have that piece of their culture for the most important moments. And maybe, just maybe, one day the fire spreads and Lakhotas, Lakhotas, every other Native American tribe is out here revitalizing their own languages. So what is Gen 7 gonna do to make that dream a reality? If you've made it this far in the video, you probably have a good idea. But we all know that the next Spider-Man movie isn't coming out next year, fully translated and dubbed in Lakota. And even if it did, I mean, who would even be able to understand that? With roughly 2,000 speakers of ages 70 and up on average, there's not exactly an audience for that yet. So it's safe to say that it's going to be a journey. But right now, Gen 7 is going to be creating new content that you've never seen before in Lakota. Videos that are way more interactive and enticing than ever before. We also want to do our best to promote and make existing Lakota content way more accessible. Yeah, a few hundred people may know that these Lakota children books, for example, are out, but what if they looked better, were easier to find and use, and everyone knew about them? All of those online videos, lessons, and books too could all reach such a wider audience, so many more people with Gen 7's helping hand. And as all of us, a community, a family, get better at Lakota, more content would pop up to help you grow from that sort of conversational intermediate level to a fluent and confident speaker. And the best part, the most important part, is what if that content wasn't just some book on a website that you had to read for school, and instead was something you wanted to watch for entertainment, and you just happen to simultaneously become a better speaker. In the future, there will be TV shows, movies, YouTube videos that you want to watch, but in Lakota, and you will be able to understand it. That's the vision that is Gen 7. Lakhotiyapi kile te wakila chahe lecha mawalo. Wopila tronka echapi na dayaya hiplo. Midaki ye oyasi.